Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, and today we are making a little video diary, and I'm going to be talking about a playlist I created called The Chameleon Who Pretends Evolves in the End. Go. And this is a part of my video series, kind of just documenting and talking a little bit about music and reflecting on it, kind of when it comes as it comes. And for the month of February, I made this beautiful playlist. And it's an incorporation of all of my hobbies. It's my love for music, my love for kind of making a blog or sharing opinions about music. It pairs with use of good photography and just everything, since, I'm a person who enjoys multitudes of creative platforms. This is kind of what I've come up with. And how I described the month of February in kind of comparison with music was the shortest month of the year has somehow proven to be one of my most favorite months ever. I always love February simply because the energy tends to align with me at a peak. Unlike last year's shift, this one has fully allowed a glow that wasn't there at the start of at the start. And emotional events really shaped how to travel and navigate emotional paths with a sense of patience and peace. I always knew that the onset of spring would be the fall of struggle I was feeling since September. But the change from heavy, drastic feelings to consistent positives has been so beautiful, and I am only planning to keep this energy through any events, high and low. Anger, jealousy, love, frustration, annoyance, anything you name it will come with that calm. The music this month had to reflect a constant changing being that strives only for greatness. As a person who's on top of it all, we are reminded of our strengths and carry that with us, especially when we fall. Almost like getting punched in the face and causing a nosebleed is when we feel the immediate and abrupt emotional challenges. A lot of music I already have really highlighted this month through moments and memories, and newer tracks help shift the overall vibe of peace through it all, even though contents vary. The ending of this entirely shifts when those realities of peace really help shape where you must go next. Casey oddly wrote a very specific spiritual song, which just so happens to mention 27. So let's celebrate and reach heaven, right? So every little monthly playlist that I have, and this is purely just a hobby, guys. And it's just I took this love of my hobby of making playlists, and I've done this for years. I've made monthly playlists for a long time, but they were always just like January 20 whatever, or it'd be like January 2016, December 2014, whatever, you name it. And it's always just been nice to have these monthlies, but I've just never invested in them the way that they should kind of be invested in. And I don't know, man. I've just really enjoyed making them and just having them be like more special and monumental. And last year was kind of the first year where I put a little bit heavier of a focus on them, and I gave each playlist a singular word, right? So I gave each word its month. So it'd be like January was chaos and things like that. So this year I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted very long poetic titles. I wanted to go against my norm and not make small playlists, but really have, you know, have them accentuated, because when you're listening to something, especially if you're putting a playlist on in the back, in the background while you're cleaning or whatever, and most times out of 10, that's when I'm listening to music. Um, it can go by fast. So like sometimes you need a good 3 hour playlist kind of thing. Or say you're working out and it's not just running the treadmill today, you're doing it all. You got a full body workout, you know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna take longer than an hour. I don't know. So I really loved seeing like small playlists for a long time. I think they're cute. And I like the idea of a playlist being an album length. But I was just really like, playlists are a little bit more than that, okay? So I have loved, like, and this is what I'm saying. Like, if you don't try something, you're never gonna know how you feel about it. And so I've loved making really long playlists. I don't like to go past like a 4 hour cap, just because I feel like that gets a little bit to be too much. Um, but I feel like a good 3 hour playlist is like a really good amount of time, just because when you listen to that playlist throughout the month, and this is another big habit of mine that I grew with, is that like I'm shuffling the playlists I make throughout the month. Whereas before it would be like I had a monthly playlist and I would listen to it like once or twice, but I would listen to the albums that came out throughout, and it's different. It's like, why not add whole albums that come out that you enjoy, or at least the songs you enjoy from the albums, into a playlist and go from there. And then you can shuffle every single piece of music that you loved that month there. Now I know everybody's not musical so musically inclined, but for me, I love music, guys. And if you're on this channel, it's because you know it. Um, but yeah, it's nice to kind of reflect on this playlist a little bit while it is peak summer, just because this was February and it was dead in the winter. And I am just reminded that like I was just barely at the onset of a lot of my own personal changes, and personal growths. And I'm actively still working on those things. Um, but I don't know. It's just like seeing the evolution in music, refinement, and all of that. It's just, I don't know, it's kind of beautiful. So let's talk a little bit about some singles of the month that came out during the month of February. Um, I don't remember specific albums that came out this month, but I do want to talk about some stuff. Try it, let's see what the money can't buy. Interesting. Not to be nice. Know what I like. You got options. I got options. Want you, but I need you. Touch me when I tease you. Okay. So, let's just talk about some songs. Um, I've got some killers in here, and I remember we were going through some of the killers tracks, and I actually sat and listened to Hot Fuss again in full for like the very first time in a long time. And I was able to show Lewis, my boyfriend, and he is not a. It's just funny because like over the years, like when we first started dating, he was nowhere near like listening to alternative music or band music or anything like that, and it was just, it's really nice to see how far he's come, and I've come a long way too, and like you know, I wouldn't be so pop inclined anymore without him. So it's just nice to see like how our influences have kind of paired in with each other, and so it was kind of a nice full circle moment to get to listen to this record with him. Um, Monumental, really, and yeah, as I've always known, but Hot Fuss is really one of those records that is just good from top to bottom. And like a lot of the side B tracks are quite underrated. Sorry. But yeah, a lot of those tracks are quite underrated. So I started off my playlist with On Top. It was really nice. It was the very first song, top of the list, and I don't know, it just made sense. And then I've got some things towards the end of the playlist as well, with Midnight Show and Everything Will Be All Right, right before the end. And I feel like this one is just a very constant feeling. Um, as much as I loved February, I really did. It really was one of my favorite months this year. And I haven't looked too far back on it, but like last year for some reason, and because I'm an Aquarius, every February tends to be like top tier. But this last February was just I wouldn't say it was awful. It just was not expected the way that I usually expect to feel in February. And right, we had these shifts. Like last September, I think I had a really hard time as well, and that's when a lot of stuff was changing for me. And I knew that this year coming up, and I still feel it. I think this fall is just going to be wonderful. Um, and so I don't know. I kind of like it. And so the playlist overall has this very like low tonality, and I kind of like it for that. There's only like peaks of like energy, and where the energy is, it's like kind of highlighted in an emotional way, I would say. Um, we've got this song called Nosebleed from this band New Dad, and I'm really sad, guys, because they're coming to Chicago, and they're very I don't want to say they're a UK band, but they're from Europe, I believe. And so they're coming to this very, very intimate venue in Chicago, and I love, love, love intimate venues, but some of them are just too small sometimes, or it just feels like a room. So I'm excited to see them in the future when they get a little bit bigger of a venue space. But their record was absolutely phenomenal and very much worth a listen to. So listen to Madra by New Dad. That is their album cover. And it is this very, I don't think you can see, but it is this cover. But that song Nosebleed was beautiful, and they just had a lot of songs in that record that were just completely beautiful. So I would listen to it. Um, the onsetification of Chapel Roan has been real. I I have this thing, and I don't know how other people are, but I have a hard time listening or remaining to artists when they become popularized. And so I knew our community had Chaperone already. Like her rise right now is nothing because she had technically like a big rise already last year. And so I have like gone through her music, and like at first I was just like, you know, it's a slow burn. It's a slow burn to Chapel. But once you get it, and it's so much fun. And at the end of the day, that's what it is. If you don't like fun, probably won't like the album. But it really has struck with me, and it's reminded me a lot of like the Electra Heart era. And like, yes, I know she's being considered as like the next Gaga, or like a daughter of, but she's got a lot of influences in there. And I just feel like the feeling of it is more of what Electra Heart felt like. And so I've really grown to appreciate it, needless to say. But originally, I loved the songs Kaleidoscope and Picture You, and I just, man, I don't know, there was something. So that's in here. Funny enough, Cigarettes After Sex, they did release an album this year, but beforehand, they had released two singles together. Um, of One Was Which called Bubblegum. And I really grew to like that song, so I had it in here as well. And it really fit this vibe. And then a lot of other things that I had, like we're hearing right now, is some of the Pussycat Dolls. Um, I threw in like some old Camila Cabello. I was re-listening to Tinashe. She was big on this playlist because I was seeing her that month on my birthday. It was so much fun. Um, and just some other things, like some more nostalgic things. Like I put some Empire of the Sun on there, and it's funny because like then they announced a comeback this year, so I don't know. It's just very it felt like a place of, yeah, like darkness, and I was like just surfacing the level of like letting some light in. As positive as I am of a person, my own emotions do take from me sometimes. And so that's kind of where they're at. I threw in some other sadder things in there, like Happy for Marina. Like a lot of it was just all of these close to home pieces that like really, really made this one. And so it was a really nice vibe. I was very big on Inner Wave. I had just discovered them. So they have a couple of tracks in here that I really liked. And I want to say that I actually went through that album because I had heard a different album originally. Maybe I'm lying. Apoptosis. And we might have talked about this before already, but yeah, it was really cool. So I had a lot of apoptosis from the record in this one. It just love the vibe of it. Like it's just right there, and it was right where I needed it to be. Um, and then there's this song, Seabird. You've been away from land too long. I don't know. I really like it. I feel like this isn't too old of a song. Um, I would say in our times, it's not old at all. And yeah, this is a 1988 song, and I've really enjoyed listening to What's the matter, Pa? There he goes, watching his little life outside. Right, Waffles? You love outside window time. Window time? He does really like his window time. But yeah, this one wasn't too long of a playlist, I will say. Um, and it doesn't really look like I went through any specific album in depth. But yeah, I don't know. This was like a really nice compilation and an overall pretty good vibe. I think it has a lot of elements of like the music I. Okay, Waffles. I think it has a lot of the elements that was looking to grow into my musical taste. And since I've obviously done a lot more research, and research is literally just flowing with the music when you're in a state of discovery. And yeah, I don't know. I really did like this playlist. It was definitely one of my favorite months, but I don't think it grew to be one of my favorite playlists that I've made. Um, Our next one, though, I did really, really enjoy the next playlist that I made. Um, and yeah, so that's all I think I have for this little video diary today. So thank you for sitting here and having a little small conversation with me about some music. I really would highlight Miss New Dad, Chapel Roan, Cigarettes After Sex, and Inner Wave in this month. We did get some extended we did get an extended version of Dua Lipa's Training Season, which we'll discuss her album a little bit later. Um, the Love for 333 by Tinashe's album lives on. It's very heavy in here. And we didn't talk about this, I guess, but Girl in Red came out with a song called Too Much. Best song she's ever made. On her worst album. Like, straight up. I think at the end of the year, I'm going to have an albums of the year and a bad albums of the year. And yeah. But yeah, ultimately, I would say that is it. I liked the compilation of, nostalgia and moments, and like all of my playlists, I always like to listen to them to like reflect on current life in those moments and then get to go back to them eventually at some point. And I have re-listened to a lot of my playlists and cycles just because I'm so engaged myself and excited myself, and that's the point. You're supposed to enrich yourself in your hobbies and like be in them fully 100%. Like, and that's not just for like your hobbies, it's for everything in life. You want to be 100% in whatever you're doing. And so I feel like it creates this natural love for what was already made or done. And so, yeah. Anyways, but yeah, that's kind of all I have. I'm excited to talk to you guys about the next couple of kind of playlists and have a few more of these little diaristic videos. So if you enjoy them, thanks. If you don't, it's fine. These are for me anyways. So, bye.